What if I told you that you're not lazy? You're just addicted to comfort. Not broken, not unmotivated, not a failure. Just seduced by a system that trains men to worship ease while starving their potential. Welcome to the channel. If you're tired of soft lies and ready for hard truths, hit that subscribe button right now. We're about to go somewhere most won't. Deep into the war you didn't even know you were losing. It starts in silence, not in failure, but in stillness. You're sitting in a warm room, phone in hand, scrolling endlessly. Another day's passed. You didn't chase that goal, didn't finish that workout, didn't say what needed to be said. You tell yourself, I'll try again tomorrow. But the truth is, you won't. Because it's not about motivation. It's about addiction. And comfort is the most socially accepted drug in the world. You're not weak because you rest. You're weak because you escape. Because modern life doesn't demand your greatness. It invites your collapse. It rewards compliance, celebrates softness, and punishes discipline. Every app you open is designed to make you scroll, not think. Every piece of food you eat is engineered to sedate, not fuel. Every dating swipe is a slot machine for attention, not connection. The system isn't broken. It's working perfectly, and it's working against you. There's a war going on for your soul, and you're fighting it with sweatpants, AirPods, and a lukewarm cup of motivation. But motivation is a liar, a ghost. It shows up when it wants and abandons you when you need it most. What you need isn't a spark. What you need is fire, discipline, cold, relentless, unforgiving. But also the only thing that will ever set you free. Men in history didn't build empires with motivation. Marcus Aurelius didn't journal his way out of pain. He embraced the storm with clarity and silence. Sun Tzu didn't hope for inspiration. He studied his enemies and mastered the art of stillness before the strike. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't trend. It doesn't get likes. But it builds legacies. And yet here we are, in an era where comfort is king and masculinity is a crime. Where being soft is fashionable and being focused is threatening. They tell men to be vulnerable but mock those who break. They want you emotional but punish you when you express anger. They say, talk about your feelings. But the second you say, I feel like the world's rigged against me, they tell you to man up or shut up. But here's the twist. They don't actually want you strong. A strong man is hard to control. A man with self-discipline doesn't buy nonsense, doesn't fall for trends, and doesn't need validation. He's a threat to a world built on weakness. So they call him toxic. They ridicule stoicism. They shame celibacy. They mock monk mode. But deep down, they're terrified. Because if even one man wakes up from this coma of comfort, others will follow. And that terrifies them. Because you were never meant to be average. You were made to hunt, to lead, to build. Not to scroll TikTok for 6 hours. Not to beg for attention. Not to chase dopamine hits like a lab rat in a cage. And definitely not to waste your energy on women who offer nothing but a warm body and a cold heart. Let's talk about that since no one else will. The dark truth about dating in this modern hellscape. You think you're chasing love, but often you're chasing validation from someone who wouldn't cross the street for you if you had nothing. She liked your photo, not your purpose. She heard your jokes, not your silence. You think she left because you weren't enough. No, she left because you weren't entertaining anymore. Comfort killed your hunger, and your hunger was the only thing she respected. So what do? You disappear. You go ghost. Not out of spite, out of strategy. Because men are forged in silence, not in noise. In the absence of likes, not the abundance of them. In the dark room, the cold gym, the lonely mornings at 4 a.m. when no one's watching. That's where men are born. Not on reels, not on red carpets, not in relationships built on attention deficits and trust issues. You want to glow up? Then disappear. You want revenge? Then grind in private. You want power? Then take back your energy. Transmute it. Don't waste it on Instagram models or strangers on OnlyFans. Use it to build. Use it to become. You think it's just about quitting porn, but it's not. It's about reclaiming your spirit. Because every ounce of discipline you show in denying pleasure becomes a brick in the empire you're building. Energy denied becomes energy redirected. And soon, people will ask where you went, and you'll smile. Because the man who went ghost has returned as a king. But none of that starts with hype, it starts with war. A war against the inner voice that says, it's okay to skip today. A war against the soft version of yourself who sleeps in, who scrolls, who settles. You kill him every day until he's gone. Until all that's left is the man who no longer needs motivation, because his purpose screams louder than comfort ever could. Look, your ancestors didn't survive plagues, famine, and wars so you could binge Netflix and cry over a girl who left you unread. They endured unimaginable pain so that you could face your trivial battles with courage, not with excuses. Your bloodline runs deeper than you realize, but right now you're dishonoring it by chasing ease. The clock is ticking. Your comfort is killing you softly. And every day you stay still, the gap between who you are and who you were born to be grows wider. And yet it's not too late. Because greatness doesn't announce itself. It whispers. And right now it's whispering to you, this is the moment, rise. But before you rise, you have to fall. You have to fall out of love with comfort. You have to look your old self in the mirror and say, you're not coming with me. Because the man who wakes up at noon, skips the workout, smokes to cope, and swipes to feel desired, that man doesn't get to walk into the future you're building. He dies here, tonight. That's the painful part of transformation no one talks about. The death of the soft version of you, the shedding of skin that was once warm, familiar, and easy. It's like stepping out of a house you built with your own hands, watching it burn, and refusing to go back for anything. Not the comfort, not the memories, not even the people who lived in it with you. Because this isn't just growth. It's a rebirth, and rebirth demands fire. People will notice. They'll ask why you're so quiet now, why you don't post as much, why you don't chase her anymore, why you don't show up to the same parties or laugh at the same dumb jokes. They'll say you've changed. And they're right. You've stopped performing. You've stopped asking for crumbs. You've stopped bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a Band-Aid. You've become dangerous, not because you yell or threaten, but because you don't need anyone. You've stopped chasing women who drain you and started chasing purpose that sustains you. You've stopped fighting for acceptance and started fighting for your legacy. You've gone ghost, and in that silence, you've found the voice that actually matters, your own. This is what modern masculinity was always meant to be. Not loud, not reckless, but immovable. Stoic. Calm in the face of chaos. Able to love, but unwilling to beg. Capable of leading, but unwilling to follow the blind. A man who isn't ruled by lust, likes, or lies, but by principle. That's rare in a world like this, because the modern system feeds on the distracted man. A man addicted to his screen is easy to manipulate. A man obsessed with likes is easy to control. A man enslaved to lust is easy to drain. The enemy isn't at your gates. He's in your pocket, in your habits, in your weakness. And every time you choose comfort over confrontation, he wins. So confront it. Confront the part of you that keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow. Because tomorrow is where cowards live. The brave live in the now. They wake up when they don't feel like it. They train when no one claps for them. They abstain when the world begs them to indulge. And they transform. Not in grand moments, but in brutal repetition. You want proof? Look at history. Look at the monks who trained for hours in silence. Look at the samurai who lived and died by codes of honor. Look at the prophets who wandered deserts, broke chains, faced demons, not for glory, but because the truth demanded it. And now here you are, in a time of abundance, of noise, of comfort. And you think your path should be easier? No, your path must be harder, because you are building something eternal, a man who cannot be seduced, cannot be broken, cannot be bought. And if that sounds lonely, it's because it is. But loneliness is a forge. It burns away distraction and reveals the weapon inside. When you stop seeking the world's applause, you finally hear God's whisper. When you stop numbing yourself with sex, junk food, and validation, you begin to feel the fire of real purpose. That's where spirituality returns. Not in religion, not in ritual, but in remembrance. The moment you stop scrolling long enough to hear your own breath. The moment you look at the sunrise and feel something ancient. The moment you face temptation and say, no, I'm not him anymore. This is what energy transmutation looks like. You don't suppress your urges, you redirect them. Lust becomes focus. Anger becomes fuel. Sadness becomes silence. And from that silence, your mission is born. Not everyone will understand. Most won't. But you're not doing this for them. You're doing it for the man you'll meet a year from now. The man who wakes up before dawn with fire in his chest. The man who doesn't flinch when life tests him. The man who no longer fears losing people because he finally found himself. You're doing it for the younger version of you. The boy who was ignored, underestimated, humiliated. The boy who begged for approval, who cried quietly, who wondered if he'd ever be good enough. You're showing him that he was always enough. He just had to become dangerous enough for the world to take him seriously. And maybe, just maybe, you're doing it for the man on his deathbed. The version of you that will look back one day and say, "Did I give it everything?" And when that day comes, you'll want to smile. Not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you'll know you didn't fold. You didn't settle. You didn't chase comfort. You chose greatness. So no, you're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just addicted to comfort. But addictions can be broken. And this one ends today. Cold shower. No phone. Hard workout. Long walk. Book in your hand. Fire in your gut. Silence in your soul. Get to work. Because in a world of slaves to softness, a disciplined man is not just rare. He's unstoppable.